You know, your remedy to call the FTC and say I've been ripped off is not a very...
Yeah, get in line,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have any money for enforcement either.
And who's your main audience for this particular program?
Two categories, individuals and also small to mid-sized business. Because, you know, the small to mid-sized business is facing the most difficult task. In fact, it's not just, the small to mid-sized business includes professionals, it includes the optometrists, it includes the dentists, CPAs, attorneys. There's never been a more difficult marketplace for professionals than right now. For the most part, the doctors have, and healthcare is surviving because of the benefit of health insurance, but they're looking at difficult times ahead as well, because a lot of people have lost insurance. Right. The whole issue on what kind of national health care we're going to have is so up in the air. In fact, it's kind of gridlocked the whole government because they're not concentrating on anything else. But even in medicine, that area is starting to suffer as well.
And the possible 3% tax on...
Yeah, I've got a lot of doctor friends that I've been hearing from that are very upset about that. And who knows where that will go. I mean, it's like, I've kind of learned, like, you know, like when the legislation was coming through to reform the bankruptcy bills to allow what was called a cram down, which would have really helped get the principal balance of the home reduced down to the mortgage amount, to the fair value of the home. I would read the bills as they were revised every day, and then finally, when nothing was passed at the end, you kind of say to yourself, why am I reading all these things?
Nice exercise in wasting time.
You know, 1,500 pages for the health care bill, and it's not going to look anything like it is at the end. I give credit to the people that do read it, because at the end of the day, that's all going to be a backdoor room kind of a settlement that they reach. But our audience is broad. I mean, the business person has, I think, the most difficult task ahead of him right now than he's ever had. Because, first of all, if your business goes down, you have no alternate choice.
Right.
For years, I've had a client would come in and say, okay, your business is down, you're losing money, you're behind, and a lot of times they come in and they're not paying their payroll taxes, which is a very serious problem because it gives rise to personal liability, and the liability grows at an enormous pace. That's when they don't pay the withholding tax in, and that they're withholding from their employees, and they don't pay the matching. Well, in the old days, when a client would come in that situation, we'd say, okay, if this isn't going to work, let's find a new niche, or we'll start a new business. If you need some capital, maybe you can get a second mortgage on your home to get some capital that way. If that's not available, you probably have $50,000, $60,000 that you can pull on a credit card if you need to. It's high interest, but you have a source of funding to get something started. That doesn't exist today. Today, the banks won't loan you money unless you're, you know, in the old days,
you already have money.
If you're GM, they won't loan you money. I mean, you have to be, you know, you have to have money in order to borrow money, which kind of takes away the whole purpose of borrowing. And the credit card companies have all cut everybody's credit lines, so there's no available credit there. And we've got 15.6% unemployment in Michigan as of yesterday, or as of this week. And what that says to you is there are no jobs.
And many of the spouses who had the regular job maybe, or another company, lost.
Right. Construction industry doesn't exist. The trades, you can't build a new home because it costs you more to build than you can buy an existing home. So all the trades are suffering. So the point is, if I'm representing an entrepreneur who's got a business and he's struggling to survive, I have to keep him in business, because he needs your priorities change. He needs to keep food on the table. He needs to keep the gas bill on. He needs to keep, maybe not even make the mortgage payment, because you can live in a house not making the mortgage payment for 12 to 16 months if you, I hate to use the word, but if you manipulate the process to your advantage, which is what we do, if the strategy is to spare that cost so that you can save that money for other resources. So it's very, very difficult. But I know if the business closes and we say, "What are you going to go and do?" He says, "I can't get a job. I'm in the I'm in the real estate business. I'm a electrical contractor. There's nothing to do. There's for every one job, there's 300 electrical contractors trying to bid for the job, and they bid the job so low, there's no profit in the job.
Right.
So it's very, very difficult. So the business person is certainly the business entrepreneur is someone that constantly seeing, constantly helping. Look at the real estate people. I've had, real estate developers that I'm representing that, you know, they made millions of dollars in 2004 and 2005, but now they are personal guarantors on promissory notes to banks for millions of dollars, and the land is now worth $500,000, and it used to be worth $4 million. Well, the bank doesn't say, okay, we'll wait 15 years for the real estate values to come up. They go ahead and they foreclose and they sue. So, and those guys don't know what to do. They're very, very capable business people. They ran successful businesses, but it was all real estate development, whether it's buying the raw land and developing, or whether it's constructing the homes or the condos or the apartment dwellings. They have to find a whole new area. The joke that they say is, you know, I'm 40 and I'm retired. Forced retirement.
Yeah, and they have a lot more years ahead of them, like 40 more.
Yeah.
Where can people listen to your radio show?
Well, we're on 11:30 a.m.
11:30 a.m.
And it's at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday mornings. That's Detroit Sports Talk. It used to be called WDFN 11:30 a.m. Yeah, so it's 11:30 on the AM dial. It's every Saturday morning, 8:30 to 10.
Do you have special guests, or is it mainly call-in?
We bring on guests. In fact, we have a guest scheduled shortly on the show, actually to cover the suicide issue. I have a psychotherapist who's written a book. Her name is Judith Barr, called Power Abused. I think is the name in the book. She's coming on. She's from Connecticut, and really to focus on the impact and the rise in suicide and kind of the correlation to the financial crisis. So we try and broaden the scope, because try to avoid every week talking about loan modifications, debt resolution, and so forth, although there's a lot of nuances to each of those issues. And we've had Congressman McCotter's been on the show a lot. Congressman Peters has been kind of a regular on the show. So we try and bring on guests.
If you, real quick, because we only have like 30 seconds left, what's your advice to entrepreneurs? I mean, they should listen to this show, but what else do you have to say to entrepreneurs?
Don't lose your fervor. Don't lose the fever. You know, you can still, even in a down market, there's always opportunity. You just have to look for it, and then you have to, do not go back on what made you an entrepreneur. Just go forward and move ahead, and good things will come.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Ken Gross of Thav Gross, Steinway & Bennett. Thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure to be here.
If you'd like more information about our show, please visit www.michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.